Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM, and this is COVID-19 World News. The focus today is coronavirus mutations. What's happening with the coronavirus? All the new things that we are hearing about coronavirus mutations from the UK, from South Africa. So we're going to learn everything about those in this presentation. So let us begin. Before I proceed, I would like you to take a look at my COVID-19 pandemic, an international and a personal guide to pandemics. And these are the other books I have written. You can take a look at them on Amazon.com. Let's talk about what is virus mutation and why do the virus mutate. I know the virus is not a singular word, it is a plural. Viron is a singular word, virus is a plural word. The virus is a living organism. It goes back to the 5,000-year statement made by Darwin, survival of the fittest. If the virus is bombarded with antibodies, if the virus is bombarded with the antiviral drugs, in order to survive, it's just the living being's instinct to adapt itself so that it can counteract the effects of the threat by antivirals or antibodies. It is very well known factor that the virus mutates. So what happens is the virus has the central core which contains the RNA, which is the template for replicating more viruses using the host tissue, like the human cells. Then this particular virus has this RNA strand, a single strand RNA. In addition to that, it has a little capsule that covers the RNA. And the most important thing that is distinct in the coronavirus are these spikes known as the spike proteins. Any one of these structures can change their chemical composition, the sequence of amino acids, which might make the antibodies, the antivirals ineffective, so that the virus can continue to survive, replicate, and spread. That's its own mission. It has no kingdom, it has no king, it has nobody telling it what to do, it just does it on its own. So what is happening in reality as far as COVID-19 pandemic is concerned? Right now we have two variations. The first one is called the UK variation, which is 70% more infective. And the second one is the South African variation, which has alteration in the sequence of amino acids in these coronavirus spikes. Let's talk about the South African variation with altered spike proteins. It is called as 501.B2. It was detected as early as November 2020. Since this virus can infect people with previous history of COVID-19 infection, and since most of the antivirals and antibodies don't work against this virus, you can think of this as a whole new epidemic going through in Africa and in other parts of the country, other parts of the world, especially Brazil. What is different in this South African variation? As we said, it is the change in the amino acid sequence of the spike proteins. By that, it is immune to antibodies and antiviral drugs. It is not certain that the existing vaccines can work against this virus. That is something that has to be determined, but the researchers are quite confident they can create a new vaccine within weeks based on the new structure of the spike proteins from the South African variation, and the same things apply to the variations seen in the UK COVID-19 variant. Let's talk about the UK variation, and here's the name for that one. This was detected as early as December 2020 in the southern England part of the United Kingdom. It has 23 changes within the virus. And as I said, the virus tries to change its structure, form, or the content so that it can continue to survive. What is unique about this virus? The researchers don't know exactly why this virus is more contagious than the regular coronavirus. It is not even certain as how this developed. As I said, mutations just happen. These viruses can cause an infection in a person who is exposed to this virus in a much shorter duration. Usually it takes like 7 to 10 days to develop an infection. But here people can develop the infection earlier. They retain the virus longer. They replicate more viruses. And as a result, they have a more propensity to spread the virus. And hence, it has a 70% higher chance of spreading the virus across the community. And it has been seen in multiple cities and in other countries, including the United States. The Oxford Research Group, which created the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, feel that their vaccine should be able to address the variation in the spike protein in the UK variant coronavirus because their vaccines are targeting the spike proteins to begin with. But only time will tell us as whether that vaccine would in fact reduce the incidence of COVID-19 UK variation when these people are given vaccinations. That means it may be several months down the line before we can really know whether we can prevent the occurrence of UK variation COVID-19 after these people receive the vaccine. So what do we do in the meantime? The only thing we can do is isolate these people coming from UK and from South Africa and quarantine them for 15 days so they have very little chance of spreading the virus, and hopefully, by that time they would have shed most of the virus they are supposed to, and maybe they won't be infective anymore. Even travel restrictions have been implemented for those people coming from UK and South Africa. Talking about vaccine, we're just rolling out vaccine. It was just approved like 3 weeks ago. But the sad and unthinkable thing about vaccines is here in the United States, 21.5 million units have been shipped. Only 5.1 million units of vaccine have been administered so far. That is less than 25% of the vaccine, where 75% of the vaccine is sitting in the freezers and may never be used because of expiration dates. So what do we do about this? I think the FDA and the CDC directors are now opening up the vaccine to a larger group of people all across the United States, beginning with the next week. Let's hope that every unit of vaccine we have can be given to people. There are private doctors, retired medical workers who cannot get vaccine. There are people more than 65 years with multiple risk factors. They cannot get vaccine. I called like 10 different places and every one of them said they have no vaccine. But when you go to the Texas Department of Health website, each one of them have received 100, 200, 2,500 units of vaccine. And where are all these vaccines? Who has all these vaccines? Why they haven't been administered to people? That is the question. I think not only me, but every one of you watching this, write emails to your governors, write emails to your city mayors, and demand that these vaccines be distributed. And since we have an approval from the FDA and the CDC to distribute these vaccines to a much larger group of people than what they originally had intended, now is the time for us to be proactive so that we can get the vaccine we need. They should not be sitting in the freezers for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and that is not the purpose of creating a vaccine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a COVID-19 world news for January 8, 2021, coronavirus mutations, and why are the vaccines sitting in the freezers without administering them to people. Until next time, I am Dr. NIK NIKAM, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel